Well, hey, Amy,
Hey,
it's
Cynthia.
really great to see you.
You too.
Yeah, how's it
Thanks for
going?
having me. Good, good. I'm ready to talk about real estate.
Good. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about real estate?
Well, me when I'm at a cocktail party.
Right.
So
And
sometimes I make
everybody,
up a fake job.
well, everybody appreciates it when you're at a cocktail party and you don't talk about real estate.
Oh my gosh, really? I have had the exact opposite experience. I feel like everybody wants to talk about it, and sometimes it's the last thing I want to talk about. So my husband was a mortgage broker. He would sometimes tell people, if we didn't know anybody, that he was an elevator repairman.
Oh,
And I have once or twice told people that I was a fundraiser for the zoo.
for the zoo.
Yeah,
Why the zoo?
I don't know, because that seems like a great job that doesn't have anything to do with real estate. These are only at anonymous cocktail parties, of course. You occasionally find yourself at.
Yeah, I mean, I fantasize about telling people like I'm sitting next to on an airplane, like telling them I don't know. I can't say I'm Gwyneth Paltrow, but I could say and I can't say I'm a spy because a spy wouldn't do that. But I too, I'm tempted to make something up,
Well, the
something
beautiful
fun.
thing, yeah, about the plane is you could say, like, I'm an independent filmmaker, and unless they've purchased the Wi Fi, they can't really even look up your films.
Uh huh.
Talk about anonymity. Like this 3 hours of anonymity on an airplane.
Now you've met these real estate agents who all they want to do is talk about their job. Like I had a friend of mine, she and I go way back, and like we'd be meeting for a walk or coffee, and she'd start going into every deal, like the buyer said this and then the listing agent said that, and I wrote this email, and I'm like, no, stop. I don't want to hear it. I've got enough of that in my own life. But as a new agent, I think I used to talk to people about my deals all the time.
Same,
Yeah.
definitely. And my poor husband too. What the Cynthia that's on my team,
Uh-huh.
her husband calls himself and the rest of our spouses SORs, spouses of real estate agents,
Oh,
SORES, because he feels like they have like this kinship brotherhood and that they should all go to support group meetings and support
yeah.
each other because of how much they have to listen to us gripe about our deals.
It's true. I mean, I've been in at dinner parties, with my colleagues, and I've seen the spouses exchanging glances, you know, like, here we go.
They should definitely have a parade for those spouses of real estate agents.
Hey, I was looking at your bio. I mean, we know each other professionally, but we don't know each other that well. Um, and I want to know, what is bear boat? What is a BEAR boat?
So
What is
that
that?
means, yeah, so let's say you want to travel to a destination for vacation and you want to spend your time on a sailboat sailing around. You
Mhm.
can either hire a captain, obviously, or you can basically rent a boat and captain it yourself. And they call that bareboat.
Oh, wow. So you're putting a lot of faith in the owner of the boat and having the boat have good equipment and be
Hmm.
maintained and all that stuff.
Which it oftentimes is not. I actually did a whole trip in British Virgin Islands with no gas gauge. So the last day we were sailing back to port, and I didn't know how much gas we had, so I did not want to be sailing. I wanted to be motoring. My husband wanted to be motoring even more because we were heeling over. The wind was crazy, it was sprinkling rain, but I didn't want to put the motor on because I didn't know we had any gas or not.
Right. That happens to me. I often will let just my gas tank in the car get a little low, and the reserve light comes on, and then I'm thinking, well, I've got 40 gallons left, and I'm thinking San Francisco's only 7 miles by 7 miles, you know. But then
I'm
it'll get to a point where I'm really nervous. It's not worth it. I need to stop and get gas.
I know, but that's another realtor thing, right? I would bet you dollars to cents any realtor knows how thin they can cut it on their gas tank because we're so busy we don't even want to stop to eat or breathe or pee. You just
Right.
like you're just like going to squeeze every last tank drop out of your tank because you've got another appointment to get to.
Right. Yeah. And don't you think, I mean, um, from driving around town, I always felt like if real estate didn't work out, I could be a cab driver and I wouldn't even need GPS,
Yeah, that's
right?
like our party trick, right? Like, okay, get to Lundy's Lane without GPS. I'll bet you could do it.
Well, this is kind of a segue into what we're talking about today, which is uh, the job of real estate agent. I think I'm summarizing this correctly. The job of real estate agent isn't what a lot of people think it is.
Mm-hmm. Too
I
true.
Yeah, I mean, I think people either I think there's a lot of people who think we're like used car salesmen,
Mm-hmm.
just looking for a deal. And I've met agents like that, where you can just feel the hustle kind of emanating from them.
Yep.
Not my style. Um,
Same.
but um, but I think maybe more people think that it's kind of this glamorous thing where you have a luxury vehicle, um, you pull up in front of a palatial home, in your heels or your, I don't even know what kind of a clothing hot shop like that would be wearing, but you just go from flip from house to house, looking at the pool, commenting on the architecture, and every
Yeah.
now and then you sell something, but that's just a matter of um, reaching and having a little chat with the other agent.
Over a
And
two martini lunch, which is my understanding is they do the two martini lunch often on these real estate reality shows. What is it called?
uh,
Top Agent or $1 Million Agent. Lots of drinking at lunch with your colleagues.
right, yeah, drinking and driving too, right? Like, you know, you got to get across town fast sometimes. I don't think I ever had. Did you? I was never. I mean, I liked to drink. I don't drink anymore, but never at lunch.
No, no. I think that's just good theater.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there that's good theater on reality shows, and it's funny to. I have not really watched them. I may have watched one episode, and I could barely make it through because everything was so uh, just fantasy, just complete fantasy
Yeah.
about our life.
I think that's true. I mean, yeah, not for me. I've only seen like trailers for those shows. I've never actually watched one or attempted to because the trailer tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that I had clients who had a 5-year-old daughter, and I remember we she would come along when we were looking at houses, and she kept saying, "Well, the property brothers would do this, or the property brothers would say that." I'm like, "Who the hell are the property brothers?" But apparently, there were or there are the property brothers
Okay.
who,
She has pretty sophisticated taste for a 5-year-old.
yeah, I was kind of impressed.
That's how much people love real estate, Cynthia. They love to talk about it. Even 5-year-olds want to hear about it, apparently. Or
Yeah,
maybe she's just
yeah.
very precocious.
She was precocious, but yeah, I mean, she was into it. She was totally into it. Um, and that was actually a little bit annoying. Like, I felt like I'm having to respond to the comments of this 5-year-old kid, right? Like, or it's like having to respond to somebody's pet, or like, can we just stick to the matter at hand?
Yeah, I feel like most kids only care about how many animals are in the staging. Under the age of like 5 or 6, I feel like
Right.
kids remember it was the house with the giraffe or the house with the lion or the house with the seashells. They're pretty into staging. They're very biased toward the houses with animal heavy staging.
Yeah, I think that's true. And of course, it's horrifying when we're holding open those properties, especially when like 5 kids come in at the same time and they just scatter in different directions, like, you know, special ops agents, right? And
The
you
year
don't know
I
what
gave
they're
up
going to go.
worrying, yeah, the year I gave up worrying about that, I actually remember very vividly because I felt like it was a very zen turning point in my life. And I just
Mhm.
sat in the open house and I thought, they're going to break things and then they'll just be broken. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's, and it's also interesting, like when somebody has like a Scrabble game that they've set up, the stagers, this happened to me a few times where the stager sets up a Scrabble game. And then at the end of the open house, I'd go in and look at all the like dirty words that somebody had spelled.
Oh, really? I want to hang out
Yeah.
with that person.
Like the stager had said something like uh, dream home,
Yes.
or you know, intersecting with rent free or whatever, and but then there'd be like nasty words instead.
Nice.
um, so when when you were new, I mean, I'm interested to know how you got into this, and also when you were new, what did you think going in? What did you think the job was going to be? I mean, do you remember?
It's hard to remember. That was about 25 years ago. But what I do remember is I thought it was a series of complex puzzles, non-linear puzzles to solve for people. And that part has actually held up. That is, in a nutshell, what I have experienced, which
Mm-hmm.
I love. It's never boring. It's not like you get the hang of it and it's you just rinse repeat, right? It really
Right.
is every single problem to solve is its own thing. And I thought it was glamorous. I did. In the beginning, I thought it looked pretty glamorous.
Yeah, I mean, there was some glamour to it. I agree. I'm 35 years in,
Wow.
and you know, back then there was a lot. It seems like there were a lot more kind of lavish parties and stuff. Like I remember the opening of Daniel Burnham Court. You know, that
Mm-hmm.
building and Civic Center, and you know, that whole lobby was decked out with shrimp towers and, you know, champagne, cascading champagne fountains, as I recall. Um, there was
Yeah.
kind of a glamorous thing to
I
that.
remember that, especially before RESPA, right before escrow companies and title companies couldn't just shower us with gifts all
Right.
the time. And I think Shrimp Tower just so perfectly encapsulates that moment in real estate. I have nothing. I can't top that.
Yeah. I mean, I have a vision of one agent in particular, um, who's not, she's not around anymore, but I, you know, just attacking the, the shrimp tower, right? Like with both hands, like plucking shrimp from the tower and jamming them into cocktail sauce and into her mouth until, you know, you couldn't tell where the lipstick ended and the cocktail sauce began. I mean, it was frightening, uh,
Vivid.
but it was glamorous.
Vivid. Yes, actually, my third year in real estate was a very down year for me, and I ate many broker tour and open house and industry event meals just so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to pay for food. That was a really lean year. Fortunately, I haven't had one like that before, but thank goodness there was all this fancy food flying around. It's really got me
Yeah.
through year three.
Well, I have a theory that there's an inverse relationship between how the market is doing and how much food is available on brokers tour, right? So the more food being offered at brokers tour, the worse the market.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry to say, right now there's a lot of food on brokers
I've
tour.
noticed that really delicious, like tempting food. Not just phone
Right.
it in. I got specialty sandwiches, but like the good stuff.
Yeah. Not bagels,
Mm-hmm.
not bagels, just like full on sushi from, I don't know what the hottest sushi restaurant is in town right now. But yeah, when I got into the business, I don't know what I thought it was. I thought I was not going to succeed. I thought I wasn't. honest.
Really?
If I'm being honest, I was coming out of another job in public relations, and which I hated. And I thought I may as well just try this. And so I got my license, and I thought it would be temporary and I wouldn't like it.
Okay.
But what really caught me was the my first client, how much I cared about him. Like
Mm,
I I'd never really cared for anyone at that point. I was pretty young. I wasn't a mom yet, and I just wanted everything to be perfect for him. I wanted to find a palace for $250,000, right? You know, and that kind of hooked me that I could be of service to someone that way. I didn't think of it that way, that I was serving them, but I think it was my people pleasing self really got pulled in through that.
definitely. Most, I won't say most, a lot of good agents, I think their superpower comes from that people pleasing angle.
Yeah.
And why did you get into real estate if you thought you weren't going to like it?
Well, it was I didn't know what I was going to do. I had worked as a communications director at a not for profit in San Francisco, and then for a retail corporation in PR, and that was just like miserable. That was a miserable job, and I think I got yeah. I actually, the truth is, I was laid off. I was fired. That I guess my attitude was really bad. And so I was doing freelance writing and casting about for what to do. And my then boyfriend, who became my husband and now is my ex husband, he had gotten his license, and he said, you know, if you're going to be miserable, you may as well make some money doing that. And why
Okay.
don't you be a real estate agent? Now, he hadn't closed his first deal yet, right? But I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And I'm a good student. I caught on, and I really liked it. I had some good, you know, had some good mentoring and training, and I mean, one of the things that my ex-husband said, again, not with a lot of experience in real estate, he said, you know, don't worry about making a sale, don't worry about the money, just do a good job for people, and the money will follow. So that was my orientation.
Well, that was
I
pretty
didn't.
wise.
It was.
That's
I
what
didn't think about
my
selling.
partner, yeah, my partner Alec and I have said that for so long. Like just do a good job and everything will work out.
Yeah.
It's not that simple at all. You have to have a business plan and all sorts of things. But generally, yes, in my experience
Right.
that happens.
You know, like you look for the truth, let people know, help them find their way to whatever their truth is, and that may be that they shouldn't buy because they have a great rent control apartment.
Mhm.
Um, it could be that they should buy right away. What are you waiting for? But um, if that's our motivation, I think it makes us more effective agents. And we're certainly serving our clients and fulfilling our fiduciary obligation, which I know you know what a fiduciary means, and so do I, but a lot of people don't,
So
right?
my short answer on fiduciary is always just putting someone else's needs in front of your own. And when we met, so we have the same broker, the same CEO, if you will, guy gal.
Yeah.
And when I met with Gal the first time, gal, when I met with
Guy,
Guy the
gal,
first
gal, gal.
time, he said fiduciary probably 8 times. And by like the third time, I was kind of all in with both feet because you can't go wrong with that as your North Star.
Right. And that is still his orientation. I was just on a call the other day with him, and I love how he, in a very genuine way, keeps steering it back to what are we doing for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard other CEOs talk that talk, right? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's all about the client, but I didn't believe them. So
Same.
Uh, so I think
So
yeah, fiduciary. It's a big deal.
it is. And so that's part of why people always say, well, from a practical perspective, people advise new agents to have 6 months reserves in the bank. But I think from a philosophical perspective, that's also really good advice because it's very difficult to put someone's needs in front of your own if you're worried about how to pay your mortgage, your rent, your food bill, the lights. It's tough. It's really not very many people can really maintain that if they are worried about where their next paycheck is coming from.
Yeah, that's very astute. I mean, that's key. And I think I'm making a note that you said that because because it's a big deal. You know, if somebody is thinking about how they're going to pay their rent or their mortgage payment, you can just feel it dripping off of them
Mm-hmm.
that they're desperate to make a sale. And that's not a good place to be coming from.
That definitely. And in that moment of truth where your client asks you for a pivotal point of advice, your thoughts are going to be cloudy. You're not going to speak with 100% clarity about what you think their best path is.
Right, exactly. You're going to say, oh, yeah, don't worry about the car dealership across the street. You know, it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
bother you. Um, now, I wanted to talk a little bit about. Um, so, one thing that I guess this surprised me in that I didn't, well, I didn't see this coming, but there's this whole kind of janitorial waitressing, um, uh, I don't know, blue collar aspect to the job
Oh, yeah,
where whatever dirty thing needs to be done, we're going to do it. Doesn't matter if you're, I never wore high heels, but it wouldn't have mattered. Like if I'm in high heels and a cute dress, I still have to do that thing. Um,
totally.
I mean, one of my, I remember, and then there'd be these terrifying scenarios. Like I had a listing where it was tenant occupied and the tenants were already upset that the house was being sold, and but they allowed an open house in exchange for a rent refund, and they reluctantly left the house and they said, whatever you do, don't let our three cats out of the bedroom. Okay, so I put a sign on the door that said, you know, open with caution, cats inside, and I tried to keep an eye on it. And within 10 minutes of the beginning of the open house, somebody had had locked that door. So now the three cats were in the bedroom, locked in there, and
Okay.
the tenants were going to be away for like 4 or 5 days. So I'm like, oh my God, right? You know, first of all, nobody can see the room.
Right.
And second, what are those cats going to do? So, you know, I was looking through the rifling through all of their stuff and, you know, in the kitchen trying to find, you know, a paper clip or a knife or something that I could use to get the door open. And I got it open and everything was fine. But, you know, you don't expect that. I
Oh,
didn't
there's
expect that.
so many things that come at you. And there's no one above you to call, right? Who are you going to call? The buck stops with you. You got to get those cats out. Like that's it. I got locked on a roof deck once before an open house. Who am I going to call? No one. It's up to me. I dropped the fire escape. I looked down at all the open house attendees who are now gathering.
Oh no.
And I will tell you, in my recollection, nobody said, are you okay? Can I help? It was
Right.
a lot of, are we going to get to see this house today? Yes or no?
Right. Yeah.
And I am
Right.
like, I'm locked on a roof deck. So I ended up dropping the super noisy fire escape boom on the neighbor's deck below,
Right.
climbing down the fire escape and holding my open house. And of course, then you have to figure out who puts the fire escape back up because that's a special company. So all of that, right? It's you never know what curveballs you're going to get thrown. And again, those like non-linear problems in the moment. It's not fun and you have stress sweat all over you, but it's fun to solve problems.
Right. I mean, it's fun. It's kind of exhilarating
That's a great
and
word.
stress, sweat provoking, like, and then the actor part has to kick in where you look like, I was just demonstrating the safety features of this property.
100%.
What if you're locked out on the roof and there's a fire? Here's what you do.
No extra charge for the fire escape.
I don't know. There was I mean, there's so many. Like, we could talk all day back and forth about stuff that's come up. I'm I'll just I forget what agent turned me on to this. Is I every time when I'd go into a property, and this was maybe before staging was absolutely required,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd go in the bathroom and there would be like the faucets and everything would be all water spattered.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody showed me, I think it was one of my colleagues at McGuire, she showed me how you take toilet paper and you wet it just a little bit, and you can use that to shine up faucets, any stainless steel, right? You just, with the wet toilet paper, and I've never forgotten it, and I do it all the time. you
This
know
is a great
people,
tip for anyone.
yeah, people coming over for dinner, oops, need to shine up those faucet handles.
I
um,
cleaned my own listings 100x more than I have ever cleaned my own house. My husband's
really.
great at cleaning. I really do not do a great job at cleaning at home. I'm good at other things. But have I been on my hands and knees scrubbing floors at my listings? Of course, we all have, like you said, very janitorial part of the job.
Right.
There's a dead bird on the front steps.
Ew.
You're picking up a dead bird today. Like,
Right. Or you're picking up the used condoms, or
please
I
tell me
had,
that didn't happen.
no, that happened. That happened.
Oh,
um I mean, not trying not to touch them, like using a property brochure to kind of scoop them up.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
I've
really
had a
what
few.
property brochures are for.
Yeah.
Cleaning stuff
I
up,
mean,
scooping up dust bunnies.
yeah, and actually noticing them, like not walking up the walkway and just stepping over the soggy copies of the New York Times that are lying there.
Right? That drives me bananas seeing that at listings. It
Like,
looks like a tumbleweed is rolling by, like the listing that time forgot.
right. And like, what are people thinking? I mean, I guess they're not thinking, they're thinking, I need to get the open house door open so people can see it. um, but never mind the raccoon poop on the front stairs, right? I actually had raccoon. I had a listing with a lot of fire escape talk today. This was the back rear egress up to the roof. It goes down to the ground and up to the
Yep.
roof. Um, and so you'd go up this ladder to get on the roof, and just as you step off the ladder, there's a little platform to stand on, and that was the lounge area for the raccoons. Like,
Cute.
it was an open sewer for the raccoons, and they kept coming back there, right? Like, so we finally hired some. We had to hire professionals to set it up so that they wouldn't return.
So you
But
know what's good
there's
for
nothing.
that? Because you will run into it again. Cayenne
Uh-huh.
pepper.
Cayenne pepper.
You
Okay.
can go to Rainbow. Speaking from experience, another real estate story, but you can go to like Rainbow and get a big thing of cayenne pepper and sprinkle it around, and the raccoons really do not like it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So on a lawn, when you put in new turf and then they come and they roll it up to get all the little delicious bugs, and then you have to
Is that a
roll it back every
surprise?
day.
That was a surprise first time I saw that. I'm like, who's doing this?
Mm-hmm. It looks like a person came.
And then there's their little paw prints all over the outdoor furniture. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's like a massive raccoon rager.
Their little teddy bear picnic.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. The little paw prints. Um, I Then I think another aspect that I wanted to talk about is just the whole psychological counseling thing. I mean, the name
Oh,
of my this show is Real Estate Therapy, and that comes from um, I'm not a licensed therapist, but I am a licensed realtor, and that pretty much means you're conducting some form of therapy for everyone you meet.
sure.
Is that your experience?
Of course. I always joke I should travel with a couch. It's kind of an old trope, but it
Well, I've
serves.
not heard that.
Well,
No.
the trope about a psychiatrist having a couch that you lie on. I don't know that that really happens that much anymore.
It would be like, I mean, I had clients who asked me if I do couples therapy for
And what'd you
real.
say? You were doing it already. I'm quite
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, they were pleased with the way I'd been able to meld their two tastes and help them not get a divorce over what they were going to purchase. Um, I don't know. I think a lot of that's just trying to listen and not triangulate when you're working with a couple.
Yes. It will all come out. I think that's a great service, Cynthia. Like, just to even say, I'm sure you've had so many couples like that, but even you just saying that to help a couple navigate their different tastes and work it out at the end and not just go home with no house at the end of the
Right.
day, which could totally happen. That's such a great service. That is a really positive part about what we do.
I think so too. And and there's something about being a witness, to be a witness to this very important and intimate moment in people's lives where, there it's really loaded up. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money. And then there's all of the whatever baggage is on board from family of origin, feelings about home, feelings about abandonment. Um, a lot of times, like I work with a lot of single people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a pattern, especially not to overgeneralize, but especially with women who, they want, for lack of a better term, they want a husband to back them up on their decision making. I've come across that a lot where
Really?
they're looking to me to just, say, you're doing a good job, or you're doing the right thing, or maybe you should think about this. Um, and because it's scary to do it alone.
Yes. Going it alone is scary, especially in our culture where you're not really supposed to make mistakes. And it gets really, like you said, loaded for people who know it's all on them, win or lose. And people
Right.
are afraid to make the wrong choice and then feel like they goofed and feel embarrassed and feel like, you know, they should have known better. So it's nice
Right.
for us to be there and hold people's hand. And at the end of the transaction, if we can help people have, this sounds really big and maybe overblown, but have people have a little more faith in humanity, that they knew someone was 100% on their side and they
Right.
feel that sense of trust and get to the end of something so big and feel proud of themselves for having navigated it. There are so many big feelings in there that can be really positive and could be really negative, but usually I think positive in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positivity. I mean, I think there's a lot of negative that we don't necessarily hear about, or it has to be kind of drawn out. When you get the feeling that somebody's kind of holding back on something. And then that one of my favorite phrases from therapy is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. Have you heard
No,
this?
but
Um,
I understand completely.
so with real estate, that'll come up like suddenly, the listing agent calls and says, "Oh, by the way, the sellers are keeping that microwave that was on the counter,"
Yes.
and then I tell my buyer this, and they flip out
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh my god!" Right? the microwave's not included.
Yeah.
And so if it's that kind of level of hysteria over something that minor, that's historical. That's something from their past that's coming in. And trying to being able to just be with that, witness it, be compassionate in those moments. I mean, I might be thinking, oh, just chill out. I'll buy you a microwave, right? But
Yep.
it's really about them being able to express something that had to be said.
Couldn't agree more. That was one of the most surprising things for me about the business, was learning that even extremely successful, smart, savvy people, real estate can bring those things out in them, that just a lot of emotions and irrational behavior.
Right.
I almost had a deal fall apart, like $1.5 million condo, over a $300 washing machine repair.
Yep.
And we all have dozens and dozens of those. I had a client who got so mad at the buyer, a seller who got so mad at the buyer, that they went around and took every light bulb out of all the recessed lights in the house before the close of escrow, so that when the buyer came and they flipped the lights on, they wouldn't have light bulbs. It's just petty, right? But
Right.
that had nothing to do with the light bulbs. And
No.
so for us to go, hey, if what you really want to do is blow up this deal over $300,
Right.
you're the boss.
It
But
also had
I
nothing.
like you said, kind of chill out.
Yeah.
But
It also had nothing to do with the buyer. Like maybe the buyer had behaved badly. Who knows what was going on, right? But there's no typical buyer or typical seller. There's no one way it has to go. It's a little, and I think one of our jobs is to hold this balance of helping people feel secure, help them feel like they're not on this rocking boat,
mm-hmm,
right? That they're not getting seasick. Like we're like the Dramamine or something.
love that.
That's new for me. I just came up with that one.
Love that. Let's put that in our bios and on our websites right now. It's very hard to explain what we do.
It is. I
What we
mean,
really do, not what we do, but what we really do.
yeah, I mean, and we're interface. We have to have positive regard for everybody we meet, and that might include um, agents who are quote on the other side and acting like they're on the other side instead of
Mm-hmm.
us taking up this project together to reach a mutually beneficial conclusion where everybody's happy, where everybody's at least a little bit satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, you have somebody who, for some reason, they want to get into it with you.
Yep.
You know?
And fortunately, in San Francisco, something that we've gotten to enjoy for so many years is the collaboration, the level of collaboration and mutual respect, professional respect between agents in San Francisco seems pretty unparalleled. Our community's amazing.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's always a few bad apples, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the respect and the quiet admiration. We've watched other colleagues go through some just horrific deals. Um, maybe ones that were so fraught that they ended up as a headline in the news,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen people who stood up with that and stood there and held their clients' hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, home is all, in my opinion, is it's real estate is about home, and home is about sanctuary, and home is about where we live our lives. And so, there's the theater of presenting and viewing real estate. That's all nice and pretty, kind of fun. But if somebody's purchasing a home, they're probably not thinking about, well, if let's say you are diagnosed with a terminal illness, you're going to be spending a lot of time in this bedroom
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
recovering. How does that feel? even if we would never want to articulate that for to our clients, or I think it needs to be held. Like we need to be thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Like we
I
need to
do.
hold this bigger vision.
I do. And that comes, unfortunately, there's no real substitute for experience in that particular regard. I think agents in year 2, 3, and 4 who are conscientious and have, had good mentors can be excellent agents and can do a great job for their clients transactionally. But that extra layer of experience just comes with having seen people live in the homes you help them buy over the years, and those life changes come up, and it
Yeah.
gives us a little bit of foresight into, hey, these are the life changes I've seen that have disrupted people's living situation and the way they thought they were going to live in their house. And so let's use that lens to try to help our clients make a really good decision, because they haven't bought thousands of homes, but we have gone through that process thousands of times with different
Right.
people.
And it's not just like the choice of the house, what you're saying. I mean, we're there to try and think about, I know you've been here where I've, there's a couple, they're madly in love with each other. Everything's beautiful. They buy the house, and let's say they're not married. And I keep saying, hey, I know you're at the pinnacle of love right now, but you need to have a tenancy in common agreement. And then fast forward 7 years later, and they're splitting up, and they haven't done the TIC. It's
So you
heartbreaking.
so you recommend people have a TIC agreement and not, say, a trust, or both?
Well, when they're not married, yeah, it can be any, they just need to think about it and get it in writing. There's something else called it's not a prenup. There's another agreement. There's several different vehicles for this.
Hmm.
But what it's so painful to witness, and this is where I have compassion for myself. It's so painful to witness, have seen a couple so happy and in love with each other, and then a bunch of time goes by, and now they are not getting along, and they may be trying to be civil to each other, but they don't have anything to fall back on to say, well, I contributed this and I contributed that, and you know here's what we're going to do with the equity that's left in the house. Oh,
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking. So we either need to help them get out in front of that, or we're there with them when it falls apart and they're feeling alone.
Yeah. Or both.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's varsity level adulting. When we tell people to get trusts when they purchase a home, or check with their CPA when they're selling a home, or check with an attorney before they approach a tenant about a buyout. I mean, buying or selling a property is already so much adulting. A lot of people never thought they would do it. And
right,
then we're like, you just bought a house and now you have to do all this other adulting. You have to go
right.
meet with an estate attorney. Wow, that sounds so fun. But
No,
but right, it
yeah,
really does it really does help people's future selves. But I get it. I get when people don't want to do that. My gosh, they've already done the mortgage dance and all that jazz.
yeah. And each step is really quite terrifying. You're having to, think of all the things that people have to sign that they don't fully understand. I mean, we might try to explain it to them, but um, there's some level where they're not understanding it. Um, and I think often we are the longest. If we're doing a good job, then we're the longest, most steadfast professional relationship that a lot of people have. We're there to see them through through a lifetime.
I never thought about that, but that's really true.
Yeah, I mean, it's that just makes me feel so happy to be able to be someone's ally with this big overview.
Hmm. Totally. You
It's
remember
great.
all their first kid, the first property, the move up property, the
Right.
marriage, whatever,
Yeah.
the parents moving in.
Right. the the dog.
The dog.
Yeah, whatever. Which brings me to, I was going to talk about the concierge services that we provide. Like, need a dog walker, need a piano teacher, want to know which restaurant to go to in West Portal because you're meeting a friend there for lunch, want to know state attorney, landlord attorney,
Yeah.
refinancing,
We're
whatever.
like Yelp before Yelp. But even though Yelp exists, do you find that your clients still call you for that stuff almost as much as they did before Yelp and Google reviews and all that stuff?
Oh, more. Now, one thing and maybe I regret this, is I let people know I'm available for that
Mm-hmm.
more than I used to. But I'm making maybe, I don't know, a recommendation or a referral every day, pretty much. And I mean,
Every
it may be
day.
something every day. It may be something like, you know, what's your favorite hamburger in town, right? But I
Well,
mean,
Cynthia, I tip my hat to you because no one wants to know what my favorite hamburger is. I'll tell you that. They want to know who my painter is that'll return their call or who the roofer is that'll return their call when it's raining.
right?
That's, you know, you could call all the roofers you want off Yelp when it's raining. No one's going to return your
Yeah,
call. So that's
yeah,
nice to be that hub of information. But I love that people ask you for restaurant recommendations because
yeah,
no one's ever asked me that
yeah.
before.
Every now and then, I'm exaggerating slightly. I'm
as
exaggerating
as
slightly.
as is your right. It is your podcast.
I'm trying to think. I gotta. Somebody asked. You may have seen this on our shared workplace thing. Somebody was asking for an energy clearer.
Yes,
Yeah, that was. I haven't had that.
my mom does
Yeah.
that. She just doesn't live here.
Oh, cool. Can't she do it online, like FaceTime?
Hmm. I don't know. And someone said, well, my person can do it remotely because energy doesn't really have a location. But then I thought, if energy doesn't have a location, then why is the energy in that house that you're selling?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense, people.
Well, we've talked for longer than I had expected, and this is fun, and we could keep going. But I think we're going to wrap it up. And I'm going to mention that if people want to know more about us, they can look at the show notes, and they'll see everything that they need there. But I want to end with a story that
All
I
right.
think you have. Do you have a story for us today that we can go out on with a bang?
Yeah. One of those fun adventures in real estate kind of things.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yes.
So, one of my favorite ones, and I have not told you this story before, one of my favorite ones when there were a lot of REOs in the market, foreclosure properties, my partner, Marcia, and I, my partner at the time, in REOs. And I would have to go to homes and see if someone was living there and kind of assess whether it was occupied, not occupied. And oftentimes these homes were very neglected. And in this particular instance, we went to a home over in Outer Mission area. We had to
Mm.
have the police come with us. I don't
Oh,
remember why, but we had to have the police there to help us determine occupancy or open the house or something of that nature. Got in the house. There was a I wasn't there. Marcia was there. Got in the house and everything seemed to be going well. She was texting me. And then she called me and she said, "The police just gave me legal custody of two rabbits." And I said, "What the hell does that mean?" She's like, "We got in the house. There are two rabbits in a cage. And the sheriff or the police department picked up the cage. There's no one around. They handed the cage to her and they looked her in the eye and said, I am giving you legal custody of these rabbits. So if anything happens to these rabbits, it's on you." And all I could think is, thank God I did not go to that meeting. I'm like, well, sorry you have the rabbits. Do you like rabbits? You got two now. She's like, what do I do? I said, I don't know. I'm a realtor, not a rabbit
oh,
handler.
oh my Lord.
So
Two
she
rabbits.
ended up getting the neighbors to take the rabbits.
Oh, okay.
But that's talk about a nonlinear problem. You wake up in the morning, you have your eggs, you look at your calendar, and then all of a sudden you're you have legal custody of two animals.
That
And
you
the
didn't
sheriff has looked
even.
you in the eye and said, do not let anything happen to these animals.
I mean, that would be really bad. I'm allergic to most animals, and I am not allergic to rabbits. So I could. That's the one animal that I'm not allergic to.
Well,
Do I have rabbits? No, but I might have been able to take the cage out to my car, you know,
at arm's
and then
length.
try to figure out what to do next. That's, I mean, I was going to say, if you get custody of two rabbits, then you just like go over to Golden Gate Park and open the door of the
Yeah.
cage, but not if the cops said, if anything happens to these rabbits, it's on
Who's
you.
going to know if anything happens to the rabbits? Why were they being so intense about it? Who knows? It's just the kind of thing that you don't know how you're going to react to it until it happens and you don't see it coming. So, anyway, that was a really funny one. It's not what I expected her to say when I picked up the phone. But there were a lot of stories like that, which I'll share more with you if we get to do this again.
Yeah, we're going to do this again, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Me
Um,
too.
so thank you, Amy, and I'm going to be seeing you soon. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cynthia. Have a beautiful day.